We've been told that being selfish is wrong. Since we were children, we've been taught to put others first, to be kind, quiet, and selfless. And yes, kindness matters. But here's a question no one asks. What if being a little selfish fares the very thing your soul needs? We're not talking about greed or arrogance. We're talking about choosing yourself, your truth, your peace, your path. Most people live their lives trying to please others, parents, partners, bosses, society. They wake up every day doing what they should, not what they feel. And deep inside they're tired, lost, disconnected. But the moment you say no more and something powerful happens, you stop living for approval and start living for truth. This isn't selfish, it's sacred. From the beginning, you were taught how to act, how to talk, how to belong. You were trained to fit in, not stand out, to make others happy, even if it meant hurting yourself. You learned to ignore your needs to be good. This is the quiet betrayal. The moment you silence your voice to keep the peace, the moment you say yes when your soul screams no. And it doesn't start in adulthood. It starts in childhood, when you were punished for being loud, for being curious, for being honest. So you buried your wildness, you became nice, predictable, safe. But what if the version of you the world wanted is not the real you? You don't need to become someone new. You need to remember who you were before the world told you to be someone else. No is not a bad word. It's a boundary. It's a shield. It's a lifeline. Every time you say yes to someone else while saying no to yourself, you shrink a little. But when you start honoring your energy, your needs, your limits, everything changes. You stop overgiving. You stop bending. You stop burning out. People might call you selfish. Let them. That's just what the world says when you stop being easy to control. Think of all the times you betrayed yourself just to keep the peace. Did it ever lead to real peace? Your peace begins the moment you stop trying to be understood and start understanding yourself. We all want to be good, but what does that even mean? To most people, being good means being self-sacrificing, pleasing, always available, never angry, never different. But that's not goodness, that's submission. Real goodness comes from being whole, from knowing yourself, from choosing truth, not performance. Some of the kindest people in history, mystics, rebels, prophets, were called selfish, mad, or dangerous. Why? Because they didn't follow the rules. They followed their soul. You don't need to be nice. You need to be real, and sometimes being real means walking away, setting limits, choosing silence, protecting your joy. That's not selfish, that's sanity. Ancient wisdom doesn't shame the self, it honors it. In Hinduism, there is the idea of Atman, your inner self, your divine spark. In Buddhism, you're taught to awaken your mind through self-realization. In Sufism, the journey is inward, toward the beloved within. These teachings don't tell you to abandon yourself. They tell you to find yourself. Even Jesus said, "Love your neighbor as yourself." But how can you love your neighbor if you don't even know how to love you? You are not here to disappear into others. You are here to become whole, and from that wholeness, offer something true. So no, selfishness isn't wrong. Not when it's sacred, when it comes from love, not ego, from clarity, not fear. You don't serve the world by shrinking, you serve it by shining. Here's the paradox. When you take care of yourself first, when you rest, protect your energy, and follow your truth, you actually become more loving, more generous, more powerful. Why? Because you're no longer running on empty. You're no longer giving from guilt. You're giving from overflow. Imagine a world where people chose joy over duty, where people said no without guilt, where they trusted their intuition more than outside noise. This is the kind of selfishness the world needs. A healed world begins with healed individuals. And healing starts with one brave act, choosing yourself. Now ask yourself this, do you belong to the world, or do you belong to yourself? Because you can't have both. The world wants you tame, predictable, selfless, but your soul wants you free. Being selfish means listening to that quiet voice inside, the one that knows the way home. So what will you do now? Go back to being small and acceptable, or rise into the life that's truly yours? You don't need anyone's permission, just your own. Let's start with a hard truth. Most people believe that being selfish is wrong, bad, shameful. Since childhood, you were told to be kind, to share, to put others first, and if you didn't, you were called selfish, as if thinking about your own needs was something to be ashamed of. But what if they were wrong? What if being selfish is actually the most honest, most loving, most powerful thing you could ever do? In this section, we open with a simple question. Is taking care of yourself really a bad thing? Or have we been taught to ignore our own needs to please others? This part cracks open the first layer of the lie. It gently invites the viewer to question everything they were told about kindness, love, and responsibility. And it sets the tone for a deeper truth that's waiting to be revealed. Long before modern society told us to put others first, ancient teachings said something very different. The Taoists believed in following your own flow. The Gnostics said, "The truth is found within, not outside." Even hidden Christian texts remind us to seek the kingdom inside ourselves first. The message was clear. Before you help the world, you must come home to yourself. In this section, we travel back through time. We look at forgotten wisdom from across the world. Teachings that show how self-care, self-awareness, and self-trust were once seen as sacred. Here's where it gets real. We meet someone who always tried to do the right thing, always helped, always said yes, but deep down they felt tired, angry, invisible. Their kindness wasn't love, it was fear. The fear of not being enough, the fear of being alone. This section explores what happens when we give too much and forget ourselves. We talk about burnout, resentment, quiet pain. We bring in ideas from psychology like Carl Jung's shadow and Maslow's needs. And we show how good people can slowly disappear inside the roles they've been forced to play. Now the shift begins. This section is about taking your power back, not by being cruel, not by being cold, but by finally telling the truth. We explore the beauty of boundaries, the strength in saying no, because sometimes no is the most loving word you can speak to yourself and others. We share real stories of people who walked away from toxic relationships, draining jobs, and fake versions of themselves. Not out of hate, but out of love. We also connect this with ancient spiritual ideas, like the Hindu belief in Atman, the true self, and Jung's journey of individuation. These teachings say, you are here to be you, not to please the world. Here comes the twist. Most people think being selfish means you don't care. But in truth, people who love themselves deeply are the ones who love others best. We explore how real love, lasting love, starts inside. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't care for others if you're secretly drowning. Here we talk about parents, partners, leaders, people who showed the most love after they stopped abandoning themselves. We also look at scientific studies on compassion fatigue. When you give too much without filling yourself up, your love dies, slowly. Now we shine a light on the shadow side. Some people act selfless not out of love, but out of fear. They want to be liked, needed, praised, so they give and give, but secretly expect something back. This section is honest and raw. We return to the earlier character and show how their kindness had strings attached. They gave to be safe, not to be free. It's a reminder that helping others doesn't mean much if you're hiding from your own truth. We end with a redefinition. What if being selfish means being real, listening to your needs, honoring your truth, living your own path? In this closing chapter, we bring everything full circle. We show how the word selfish was used to shame us. But now we take it back, not to hurt others, but to finally stop hurting ourselves. One of the biggest reasons we don't choose ourselves is guilt. You've been taught to feel bad for wanting peace, for resting, for choosing joy over duty. But guilt is not your conscience. It's a cage built by others. Guilt is how control survives. It whispers, "You're being selfish every time you start living free." But here's the truth. You are not here to carry everyone's weight. You are not responsible for everyone's feelings. You are allowed to choose what feels right for you, even if others don't understand. And if guilt shows up, let it, feel it, then let it pass. Freedom often begins where guilt ends. How much of your life have you spent explaining yourself, trying to make others understand your choices, your feelings, your silence? But real peace comes when you stop. You don't owe anyone an explanation for being who you are. Let them misunderstand you, let them gossip, let them go. You were not born to be understood by everyone. You were born to understand yourself. When you stop explaining, you start expanding. And suddenly, life feels lighter.